I want to move my big dust collector because right now it's located in the center of my workshop and it's just taking up a huge amount of space there. And I guess a much better place for it would be back here in this corner.
At the moment there's my drum sander and a storage shelf in the corner, which need to be removed.
So the shelf back here is empty and looks like I had a lot of stuff stored there. Now with the shelf out of the way, I actually realize how big this space back here is. Of course, in relation to the rest of the shop. I can now also give you a better look on how I mounted this dust collector to the wall. There are 4 threaded rods attached to the motor mounting plate. These are attached to a board which hangs from 2 brackets reinforced with plywood. The whole system is free to move, and I did so by drilling oversized holes in the plate here, and everything hangs just off these rubber feet, which are actually door stoppers. The reason for that is that vibrations of the whole dust collector are not transferred into the wall and into the whole house as much. At some point I also installed a tube connecting the collection box with the cyclone to prevent a plastic bag from getting deflected inside it. But now I can tell you it doesn't work. You can see this hose is completely full of dust and plugged up. So this doesn't work if you just connect the tube to the cyclone. Good to know, I guess. Well, I guess I should empty this soon.
The cyclone is attached to the blower with a few clips.
Dust collectors make interesting stuff over time.
To take down the blower I had my dad helping me, because it's really heavy.
Alright, here are the components. Let's find a new home for them. Done. And this is how my wall looks after almost 2 years of dust collection. Now for the time being I just set up my small dust collector and hooked it up to the pipe system. And just for fun I thought I could fire it up and have a look if there's still dust in the duct system. And with this collector I can see it. That's interesting. It's also interesting that all the coarse dust is on the outside and the fine dust is in the middle. And I guess the physics of airstreams and dust collectors are quite complex because I have no idea why that happened. All I can say is interesting.
But even more interesting is this. Every half a year or so my dustbin looks like art. Now I can start making the new structure that supports the dust collector in its new location. Therefore I used wood that came from rebuilding our carport. It gets the usual treatment of jointing, planing and ripping to size. I also need to drill some holes in the concrete wall. Easy job with the big toys.
Should be strong enough. Close enough. The way this thing gets mounted is pretty similar to the old method. There are 2 rails that it hangs from, but this time the rails are supported from both sides. The rails have a piece of dense foam attached on the end, and they will sit in a channel also filled with this foam. This way it doesn't touch the wall or its support directly, And I hope that then vibrations from the dust collector will be taken up by this, so they can't transfer into the wall and then into the whole house as much. Now, because the new home of the dust collector is here, but the plug is there, I have to run a new cord to it, and as this is three-phase power, I thought it would be interesting to show.
After stripping the cord, I cut off the support string inside it and then stripped and twisted every single wire. Then I looked for the right connector that would fit the motor and installed them. That's actually really simple. As I'm connecting the motor with a star connection, I don't need the blue wire and cut it off. Then it's just a matter of connecting the wires. The location isn't really important right now because it only affects the direction that the motor is running. And that's all for connecting the motor. Next is the switch. Very similar to the motor, ground and blue wire get a through connection and the actual three phases get switched on and off.
Actually, I didn't really need to connect the blue wire because it's not used. But the last time I did that, I got a few safety comments saying that it's reckless and unsafe, and yeah, well, now it's connected, still without having any function in this application, but the safety people should be happy.
And finally the plug. I don't have connectors for that, so I'm tinning the wire ends. Then I just need to put everything in the right place as it's written on the plug.
Now I can try it out. Just kidding, this is what actually happened. Well, it's working again and also runs in the right direction. Now if it was running in the wrong direction, all I would have to do is to change two of the phases and that would reverse it. Or even simpler would be a special plug. I have one attached to my bandsaw motor and it has the feature built in and you can switch the phases with just a turn of a screwdriver. And that's the beauty and one of the big advantages of three-phase powered motors. I also want to try using my other impeller that I built some time ago again. The reason why I didn't use it in the end was it was just so loud that it was uncomfortable using it even with good ear protection. And the reason why it was so loud is that it was a little oversized for the blower housing. So now I try to cut it a little smaller and see how loud it is. I also had to make a new mounting plate for the filter box because now it gets mounted a little different. And I put the service door on a hinge and can now close it with some of these latches. And as I didn't have the right kind of hook this time, I just used some screws and that works pretty well. I'm also going to replace this wire screen here with a finer one because once I forgot to empty the dustbin and a lot of wood chips then could pass this wire screen and went into the filter box, and that took a lot of time to clean it. So with this finer screen that shouldn't happen again. I also gave up with connecting the cyclone with the dustbin with the hose to prevent the dust bag inside the dustbin from deflecting, because for quite a while now I'm not even using a dust bag anymore and this thing is kind of useless. So I'm now going to plug it with another piece of aluminum to make the inside smooth again.
Glued with epoxy and sealed with silicone. My dad helped me again for hanging the motor and then I put it back together.
The noise level is quite acceptable, and as you can see there's already new ductwork installed. But in fact I had to take the whole dust collector down again because I could make my shop bigger, and somehow this wall here is white. There are quite a few more changes happening here in the shop. But as the video is already 10 minutes long, you will see all of that in the next video. Not hot enough. But the safety people should be happy.